Mr. Poots, order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and hopefully bring a little sense to it after the last contribution. In Northern Ireland this week, people felt a sense of betrayal. They felt a sense of anger, and they felt a sense of distrust because their trust had been broken. And the fact that this process started way back in around 2000, 2001, without reference to Her Majesty's Parliament, without reference to this Assembly, or without reference to the general public, was a grievous breach of trust. The fact that legislation was not capable of being passed at Westminster on this issue was a very clear demonstration that both the public and Parliament rejected any notion of giving the on-the-runs a free licence or a get-out-of-jail-free card. And the fact that Tony Blair and Peter Hain and others in government went into a one-sided immunity process that was offered to provosts and to former provosts, while their representatives vigorously pursue everyone else, that they should be held before the law, is hugely damaging to confidence within the community. Thus, we are at the point that we arrived at this week, whenever our First Minister indicated that he would be stepping down if something wasn't done, and quite rightly so. Mr. Hain told us that this was necessary for the peace process. The same Mr. Hain that Mr. Allister, for example, wanted to reign all-powerful in Northern Ireland. The same Mr. Hain who snake-like got up this week in the House of Commons to defend the dirty actions that he was engaged in, and people like Mr. Allister wanted to continue to support. In Northern Ireland,
Member shouldn't persist.
Mr. Speaker, if there was ever a demonstration of someone getting it wrong on an issue, it was so clear this week whenever we heard about the dirty deals that Mr. Allister was prepared to allow Mr. Hain, Mr. Blair and others to engage in on behalf of the people of Northern Ireland.
That's not a debate across the chamber.
I'd be very happy to give way if Mr. Allister was going to admit that he was wrong, but I know that he hasn't got the guts to do that. I will certainly.
The member, through the Speaker, the member refers to Peter Hain. This is also the same Peter Hain who on Nolan this week started to refer to the released terrorist prisoners as political prisoners until he corrected himself mid-sentence and connected, which gives an indication of where Mr. Hain is coming from in this.
Yes, and I was happy to give way to a member who actually was able to achieve the quota. And as I was indicating, others may put their trust in Blair, others may put their trust in Hain, others may put their trust in Jonathan Powell and Alistair Campbell. We trust ourselves to deal with these issues, and we trust our party leader to deal with this issue. And that's why we're able to stand here in a stronger position today, because we have a devolved leader who's actually able to take actions and take a right stand. What is important today, Mr. Speaker, is that where people have done wrong, and where evidence exists that people have done wrong, that they can be questioned, they can be charged, they can be tried, they can be convicted, and they can be imprisoned for their wrongdoing. As a result of the Belfast Agreement 1998, supported by my colleagues on the right, justice was dealt a hammer blow. That process, however, allowed Jerry McGill to serve just 2 years for the attempted murder of our colleague, Sammy Bruce. That was bad enough, but for the Northern Ireland office, with Her Majesty's government and indeed the PSNI, to engage in a process which doesn't even bring people to court or questioning them, is a further compounding of damage to trust in the community that justice will be done. Thankfully, as a result of the intervention of the DUP this week, as a result of the intervention of the DUP leader, these letters no longer have the resonance that they had in this week, in the court this week. And whilst Jerry Kelly may be clinging on to the letters just as vigorously as he clung on to the bonnet of the Land Rover, they are now as robust as a case that he went to take against the PSNI on that Land Rover issue. I welcome the fact that the DUP took a stand on this issue. I welcome the fact that people can now be charged, can now be arrested, can now be convicted, who were former provosts, who are existing provosts, and I welcome the fact that we can have justice once again after it has been denied. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Jennifer